Welcome to lesson 11. So, this really is a continuation from yesterday. We'd started to look at how to interact with programs and how to build how to use the Web3 libraries, etc. So I want to continue with that. There are different possibilities that you can use. So we've got some of the different possibilities today, but I think there's not a great deal we need to talk about. So I'll go through this relatively quickly. But it does give you a number of options, and you can follow through the notes and try different ones out yourself. Okay. Um, this is going to take you through an example of using Vite for building an interface. Yesterday we looked at some of the components, and I gave you the DApp scaffold project as an example, and to give you an idea of what components are involved. This one is going to go through that, but also is going to give you an idea of what is available in a React framework. But these things are very interchangeable, so you should be able to take a program that you've written and then write, any number of front ends for it. And really, what we're presenting today is some of the possible alternatives that you could use for that. Okay, so if you want to use Vite, it's quite simple to install. You can do that with Yarn or npm. Yarn's always, yeah, it's a good one. So that's the one we're going to use here. As usual, when you do that, it will set up an example project, and then you can uh, use Yarn dev to actually start up the web server, and it will bring something up for you on your local host, so you can have a look at that as well. You should also get, well, depending on the operating system, you will get hot reloading as well, which is quite handy because it means you can very quickly see the results of any changes that you're making as you make them. All right. Now, something we spoke a little bit about yesterday, and is really fundamental, I think. It's very common. That's the idea of the wallet adapter. And this is very useful because the wallets are quite powerful. They do lots of things for us. And so using existing wallets, the browser plugins, these are going to sort of simplify your code and give you, a reasonable amount of functionality. So it's a good choice to have. Of course, it may be that you don't want to do that. Perhaps you want to use something else, a file system wallet. We did see the example yesterday where you can actually just create the wallet in code, if you want to. But I think that's less likely to be your use case. You're probably going to want to use a wallet adapter. So here you've got the packages you need to add to do that. So you can use those. You can add those with Yarn as well. Then, if we look at the actual code we're going to use, here's an example where we're going to display a balance, and this is providing the front page, so it's doing the connection here. We've decided that particularly a network that we want to connect to, and then yeah, so we've set that ready, and then we can from that set up our wallets, as you can see there. Um, if you want to find out more about the options you have, there's links there to the documentation. But if you do this, the code you should get it to refresh. The hot loading will work. It'll refresh, and you should see you get a wallet connection added to your page. Okay. Um, if you want to specify more details about the connection, you can do that here. So you can specify URL. Of course, this is using the DevNet, but you could, of course, connect to a local connection as well. So, for example, the some of the exercises we've done where you've run a local validator, or if you want to use the bank's client, you can also use that and connect to something locally. So this is how we can configure the connection. So we put that into its own file there. Then we want to create a component that's going to display the balance for us. So uh, we have the components directly. It's got all the different components that are going to be displayed, and so we're going to add to that. So to do that, we add a special file, as you can see there, and then within that, this is the code that we're going to use. So you can see here we start off with the use wallet. So this is going to get us the address of the user. So that gives us our public key. Um, then if that changes, so when we first do it, or if we change accounts or something like that, then it will run this code here, and it will run this to get the balance for our particular account. I'm not going to go through uh, the the language so much here because obviously that's a whole different thing. Hopefully, if you don't know it, or if this is new to you, then you need to uh, check out some get some details about JavaScript and TypeScript, etc. Um, but anyway, this is going to be called to use your address to get uh, the the account info, as you can see here, and then that's used within the component to set the balance. So that's going to display the balance. Okay, um, and then once you have this um, once you have this for the balance display component, then you can add that. Sorry, this is not scrolling very well. You can add that. Well, there we go. You can add that into your main page here. So then that sort of ties the two together. Okay. And there's further details. Sorry, it's difficult. There we go. There's further details here of the different aspects. Some of this is to do with React, so that will, yeah, that explains those parts. Um, Things you do need to think about as well are things like this conversion. We, when we get balances back from a blockchain, you do need to be aware of the units involved, and you probably want to convert the number to some extent, um, because we're getting back a value in Lamports, which is the smallest possible unit, but that is going to bring back a very large number, and you may want to convert that into how much to one sol and then various decimal places. But that is something you need to think about as you're getting these values back, what conversion you're going to do. Okay. Um, Then the details here, I don't think I'll say much more about these because it's more about React really. But once you have written some components, then there are other libraries that you can use to uh, to make your page look nicer. And yeah, so you got material and chakra here. I think chakra I think is particularly uh, popular one. There's details here of how to include those. Obviously, this is just something you're going to need to think about when you're building your page, what kind of look and feel you want it to have. So you got some examples here. So it's going to affect what the basic HTML components look like on your page. So for example, the styling of buttons, etc. So yeah, there's some more details here. I won't go through this because really that I don't think we need to spend much time. But if you're interested, there's some details there. Now, I just want to mention this. Someone has had asked for this, but also it's something that's become more popular recently. I think it's a relatively new way to, or new option that we have to create a UI, a new framework that we've got for that, um, which is called GIL. I guess that's how it's pronounced. So it's made to be quite performant, I think, and robust, and it it is very much designed to help with the common kind of things that you want to do on Solana. This is assuming that it's been built to help with the common tasks and things like working with tokens, etc., and also with NFTs and some of the tools for those as well. So again, is to abstract away some of the more mundane activities that are common to many things that you do to give you more time to spend on the business logic as well. Um, yeah, it's has been sort of optimized as well to work and be very performant, as you can see here. And then this is an example of what it looks like from to it's doing something very simple. It's just getting the latest slot from DevNet in this case. But that's what it looks like. So you just need to import the package there, and then you can set up the connection easily there, and you can do the RPC get slot, which will give you the latest number, and then you can well you can print that out or whatever you want to do. All right. Now, another point about writing a UI, and I think it's worth considering this because it's something that is done fairly badly generally in Web3. I think it's the case that a lot of the people in, well, yeah, we have the Web3 developers and they tend to write UIs that make sense to them, but then that's because they know what they're trying to do. But for the wider public, they're often quite unfriendly and hard to use and confusing. So there are some good practices that I just wanted to mention here that you may that may be useful, uh, not only to help with the look and feel, but also to help make your code easier to maintain, etc., to make it more scalable. So there's some details here about the atomic design and making things reusable, breaking things into reusable parts, and this is an example of how you could structure that in your file structure. Um, yeah, you should. Although I will also say, when you're thinking about creating your project, you should be keep the scope small and don't try to be too ambitious. So this, I think this just applies generally. I would say whatever you're doing with whether it's for your final project or if you're actually going to build something, you're doing a startup. The initial thing that you do, make that quite small. In fact, I heard some advice where she said, think of the functionality you want your project to have, and then take away about half of that, and that's going to be your first version. And I think that's pretty good advice. But with that, that means that you are thinking ahead that your project is going to grow and it's going to need to scale, and your code base is going to need to scale as well. So do think about that. Do think about the making it scalable and making sure that you're not making it very fragile when you do it. Okay. All right. I think that's um, uh, so what I want to do now is to go on to the lesson 12 notes, and this is because we've got a quite a big topic coming up. There's lots to go through here, so I wanted to spend a little bit more time with this. And this is going to cover, I think, or at least start to cover some of the major use cases that people are interested in when they're developing um, on blockchains generally. And I think Solana in particular has always had an emphasis on DeFi projects and very much also on NFTs. And so there's lots, they've developed tools to help with that. So I want to take you through some of the things there. Uh, I imagine some of you are going to be interested in those types of things for your final project as well. So yeah, I want to go through that. But there's a number of things to go through for that. So we're going to start off by looking at the Solana program library, which we've already had a look at because we had a look at the token part of it. But it does have some other areas as well that I'm going to talk about briefly. Um, Before we do that, I'll just give you a refresher about the token program because this is going to be relevant to what we talk about with NFTs. And I just wanted to remind you of the process that you need to go through to create a new token. So do remember that we have a number of accounts involved with this. So we've got the token program generally. That's code is provided for us. When we want to create a new token, we need to get some general data for that token. So that's what's going to be held in the token mint account. And things like the mint authority and the freeze authority are going to be held in that account. Okay. Then the when we want to show that somebody holds some tokens, we want to set up a balance for a user. Then we're going to create a token account per user. So the user then will have some tokens of this particular token type, so we can have the balance in there. But also it contains details about any delegation as well. Okay, so that's why we've got the delegate there. Okay, so bear in mind that we've got these, well, at least two accounts, but we'll have a token account per holder of those tokens per token as well. So a very different approach to what you may have seen before. So yeah, this is details here of the details you're going to get in the token mint account, such as the mint authority, the total supply, number of decimals, etc. And then from that, we can then create accounts for each person who is going to be holding these. And within that account, you will have these details here. So the owner, whoever is owning these tokens, we need the mint authority. So we need, sorry, the mint account that this relates to, because this is for a particular token, delegation details, etc. All right. Um, and then when we are transferring tokens, we're calling a specific function within the token program, the process transfer, which is going to use the accounts that we can pass in. So it will need details of the token account. It will need details of the mint account. It will need details of the token accounts for the sender and the receiver. And it does some checks. So it's checking that those token accounts are not frozen because we have the ability to freeze accounts. It checks that the mint here, sorry, the mint, that is this address, the address of this account, is checking that that is the same for the sender and the receiver as well. Otherwise, it looks like they're using different tokens. Okay. And then obviously we need to know that the sender has enough tokens to do that particular transfer. Um, the one point to that just mentioned here is the fact that uh, just because the transfer succeeds, that doesn't mean that the sender and the receiver were different, just in case you're making that assumption, because if they're the same, then the transfer will succeed. We have the possibility, some more functionality in the token program is the idea of burning, and that's to remove tokens from the total supply. Obviously, there's security around that. It is going to, you have to, you can only burn your own tokens. You can't burn somebody else's tokens. We've got the idea of approval as well. So this is when we have delegation. And remember, this is more restricted than, say, with the Ethereum standard, because here you are only allowed one delegate. So you can only delegate to one other account. And if you change the approval, if you change the amount in any way, either the quantity or who is delegating to, that will override the delegation that you have. So you only have one delegation at a time. We can remove approvals, obviously that we need to do that. And also we've got the freezing of accounts as well, and the thawing of accounts that may be needed. I mentioned this last time as well, the associated token program and the associated token accounts. This does get a little more complex. It's just that we uh, the way that these token accounts are set up, we wouldn't necessarily know what account we should be sending to if we want to send some tokens. So to facilitate that, we have this program, the associated token program, and it has the associated token accounts, which helps with that and allows us to derive the addresses from the address of someone's normal wallet address. And I think I had to, I think the diagram I had in the previous time showed this a bit better. But uh, yeah, so have a look at that. Also, if you want to see how to use that from a front end for there's some TypeScript here to show you about that. Okay. And remember that these accounts can be created by anyone. So if you are sending some tokens to someone, then you can create that account ready for them if that doesn't already exist. Okay, so that was the token program. We've already looked at that though, so I'm hoping that you're familiar at least with how that works and the types of things that it can do. Um, but that's not the only thing that we have within the SPL. We also have some other common programs are we've got the token swap program. And oh, I think there's a missing diagram here. I'm sorry about that. Uh, this is to provide basic swap functionality. So we've mentioned decentralized exchanges, and one of the basic functions that they provide is the ability to swap one token for another. And so that is a good candidate then for a common program on Solana. So we've got a program that will allow us to do that. The way that we can calculate the price when we're doing this, the way that the program knows how many tokens to provide when the swap is being done is because of a thing called the automatic market maker, and that is able to calculate the relative price of the tokens for us. This is based upon a liquidity pool where we have the tokens involved. That pool will hold some amount of tokens, and so the AMM can use the the volumes of the tokens in the pool to be able to work out a price. Um, Now, we say that there's this pool that has some liquidity. Of course, that has to be set up in some way. And that process is called providing liquidity. And for people who do that and who are going to provide both tokens, so if we say we've got token A and token B, if you're going to provide both of them into the pool, uh, what will happen is you will provide those, and in return you will get things called LP tokens. So they are there to show that you have provided some liquidity into that pool. And what you can do later is to put those LP tokens back into the pool, and you will get back the tokens that you initially supplied, plus some extra value from fees as well. But that's how you can show that you've provided liquidity to a certain pool. So um, the that sounds relatively straightforward, I think, in terms of the process. When we look at the various accounts that are involved, it does get rather complex. Uh, but this is because everything is an account, and we need to provide all of the possible accounts that will be needed when we're doing something like this. So if you imagine that we have two tokens, A and B, that we've created, and we want to create a pool for those so that we can do swaps, then we need to create more accounts to help us with that, or to be used by the token swap program. And so the accounts that we need to set up, we'll need one that is for the pool state, and so uh, we can create that. Of course, when you're creating these, I'm sorry, I don't know why that's cut off there. Uh, I'm sorry, I don't know why the formatting has gone odd here. It's cut off the text for some reason. I don't know if that's just the size of the. No, it's not the size of my window. Sorry about that. I'll try and rebuild these notes and sort that out. I'm not sure why it's done that. Um, but anyway, we need an account that's going to have details of the pool, the state of the pool. We also need some idea of authority around this. So that is whatever is going to be able to transfer tokens in and out of the pool, or add or mint tokens potentially as well, minting LP tokens, things like that. So there needs to be some authority that is going to do that, which is going to be, if you think about how you expect this to work, then that's probably going to be a PDA. It's probably going to be programs who are involved at that stage, not going to be a user that would have to get involved. We want this to be automatic. So there are going to be programs or there is a program, the token swap program, that is doing this. And so there's going to be a PDA that needs to be there for the authority. Uh, we also need the token accounts that we've created for A and B. We also need the the token mint accounts as well. So that needs to be set up. Um, and the uh, yeah, the authority needs to be. We need the authority to mint tokens to be set up to be the the swap authority that is used in the token swap program. Um, we'll also need an account that's going to handle fees, so we need to set that up. Uh, there will be a recipient account. So when you are doing your swap, there will be an account that's going to receive the tokens that you're getting from the swap. So that needs to be available. And then we need the token program itself. So there's a lot that you need to uh, create if you want to do this. So if you are interacting with some exchanges, if you want to programmatically interact with a decentralized exchange, you need to be aware that you will need all of this information to be able to do that. Okay. Um, Once you've done that, then you can initialize, and that will set up the pool. Um, Also, then, if you want to deposit liquidity, these are the functions that you will call to do that. So you're depositing both tokens for that in there. Uh, but the most common thing that you're going to want to do is to swap tokens. And so this is gives you details here of the swap instruction. So uh, the reason so these details are what you need if you, for example, want to interact directly with an exchange and write your own program that's going to interact with it. You will need all of these details. Um, a point that applies to generally about the way that decentralized exchanges work is that we need to give authority to the exchange to move tokens on our behalf. So that needs to be done. So we need to get the approve sorted out. There's a sort of security issue here as well, or uh, the idea that you could use a throwaway key pair for this and then use that for the swap transaction to be a little bit safer, just in case there is something malicious happening. It would limit the problems that you would get if you do that. Um, this then, to give you an idea of the what is actually called then within the program, the swap program, when you're doing a swap, I've got details here from the tests that shows you the order that things can happen. Um, so this is setting up the swap type generally, um, and then we're creating the pool and depositing tokens into that. It's testing the deposit, so this will produce LP tokens. We're testing the withdrawal, and then we're testing the swap. There are different types of swaps as well. So the there's one that is very common where you provide a certain number of tokens of, say, token A, and then you will get back a potentially variable amount of token B. But you can do that differently. You could call a function to say that you want an exact amount of token B, and then there's a variable amount of token A that you would need to supply, etc. So there are different functions that you can call depending on the type of swap that you want to do. That's why you've got this exact amount in, etc. Um, this is, yeah, just sorry, I can't scroll very well here. I don't know why it's not. Yeah, this is showing you the some code that you will actually do the swap for you. So again, if you're thinking about interacting directly with an exchange, this is the type of thing that you would need to write to do that. Okay. Um, Yeah, and as you can see, the actual swap that happens when we call that, we are passing in uh, a lot of accounts, a lot of details there. So there's quite a lot of information you need to provide when you're doing the swap. Okay, so that's token swap. I don't know why I'm having difficulties with my web page at the moment. There we go. I just want to then quickly talk about governance. Yeah, just because this is also part of the SPL, so I'll just cover this quickly. So I'll probably skip through a few of these notes here. Uh, it is an important topic, but you first of all, I should say there are different levels here. So what I'm talking about initially here is the idea of how the blockchain protocol itself can change over time and uh, how we can control that. Of course, there's also you can also do this at an application level. You could have, say, a DeFi application that has governance and will you will have people voting on how that application will proceed. But this initial information here is more about how the blockchain as a whole can change. There are some things you need to think about if you're doing that, such as who is going to be making the decisions about this, who is going to be involved, and how do we come to decisions about this? Um, the types of governance we've seen generally are can be split into two, off-chain and on-chain. The off-chain perhaps was the first type that was tried, but is not very efficient. It's really more kind of organic, I suppose, that it just tends to sort of emerge when people need to change the blockchain. Often it's around the developers of the protocol, and they will be making the decisions. If it's on chain, then it's more structured and it's clearer what the process is. It's much easier for people to get involved and for people to be aware of the options that is out there. So that's some general details. What do we have in Solana? Well, there is a way that you can uh, ask for features on Solana, which is this again. This is all part of the SPL, but it's a particular program, the feature proposal program, which allows you to propose a particular feature and then have that voted on. The voting will be done by the validators according to the amount of stake that they have, and done via standard tokens. The um, the actual voting, you transfer tokens to an address, and then if it goes over a threshold, then that proposal will be accepted. Um, so it's a very straightforward process. Of the the change itself needs to be developed first of all before uh, it is voted on, and then we get the voting. It's the votes are counted, and if the vote succeeds, then the feature will be implemented. So how can you go about this? Well, there is a CLI which you can install, as shown here, and um, of course, you'll need to speak to Solana developers about this and getting the code to for that particular feature written so that it's available. The feature itself will have an ID associated with it, so we can track it, etc. Um, and yeah, you can get details of the status of different features from the command line. Now, one important point is that we don't want just spurious features to be proposed that are sort of wasting time. So there is going to be a cost if you want to do this. And so, yeah, there's details there of the cost that you would need to put up um, to to get your feature advanced. Um, once once the voting has happened, so tokens have been transferred to a certain address for that, then the votes can be tallied. So you can see there it's for a particular proposal, and then if that if you get the if it passes, then it will automatically be activated there. Okay, so that's how you can do how you can change the features of Solana itself. So if you're interested in that, then yeah, there's ways that you can do that and ways you can get involved. But also they provide some tools if you're doing this at the application level. So it may be that you've got a some DeFi project that is going to involve governance and have people voting on aspects of the project. And there's quite a lot of flexibility around this. Very common component that is used with governance is the idea of a DAO, which is an organization where uh, it is run by voting, and the decisions and the votes can be seen. It's very transparent, but everything is done in a decentralized way, and it is meant to be quite autonomous. Uh, it's a very basic type of governance. Everybody who has some stake or within the DAO, who has some DAO tokens, will then be able to vote. So everybody is essentially equal in that sense. Um, there are some tools that will help you with this if you want to create these. So I've got some links there. So you can set up DAOs with, in this case, a multi-sig, or all sorts of other options as well. You can see there, or maybe you want to use NFTs for the voting. Um, I haven't got the details here, but if you're interested in this, if you're interested in including governance, there's quite a lot of information. There's quite a lot of different models that have been used in different blockchains. So using a DAO is not the only way to do it. There are lots of other things. There's something called optimistic governance, where they allow proposals to be made and automatically accepted. And they do this on an optimistic mindset where they think that if a proposal has been made, then it should be accepted. Uh, but also, they have a means of vetoing proposals as well. So what that means is that the community as a whole doesn't need to vote on every proposal that is going through. They can sort of stand back a little bit and assume that most things are going to be beneficial, but there's a mechanism to veto things if it's obvious that they're not. Okay. But also, yeah, do investigate a little bit because there's lots of different models around governance that you may find useful. Another uh, useful tool we have is the name service program. Because addresses are not very user friendly, so it's nice to be able to have a human readable representation of an address. So it's just a registration. It's just excuse me, a mapping between an address and some string. But that can be very useful, certainly if you are presenting details to the public, then it could be valuable for you to have something human readable. So you've got an example here, um, SBF, um, his address, uh, yeah, shown there. If you No point in sending him Sol now, of course, but yeah, uh, that type of thing. If and you can use it to refer to any type of resource that may be useful. Okay. Um, this is just a cheat sheet really to for Anchor. I don't need to really go through this. I don't think, but hopefully you've had a chance to have a look at some basic Anchor programs. We will be doing more with Anchor in the next few lessons. So yeah, you'll certainly if you haven't set it up already, make sure that you do. Other things, the some macro attributes. These are ones you may find useful, but there's a complete list here. Hopefully this link is okay. Yeah. So you've got a complete list of attributes you can use within the context. So we've seen things like init when we were looking at the context in our lottery program. Um, Other ones you may uh, want for an existing account, you can use the mute, which means you're going to need that account. You're going to change it, and you need it to get serialized again. Uh, if the account is a signer that someone is having to sign for the account, then you need to specify that. And then these ones here are nice constraints that allow you to link things together and to verify that things are linked together properly. So this first one is a way of saying that we want a particular value in a particular field in the account. So it's a way you can check that. So, that could be some flag or some value, but it's a way that you can make sure that that is the case when your contact is getting the account. Um, Similarly, another one that's very common would be that the owner is going to be a particular value, so you could specify that. But as I say, there's a fuller list here, and you can go through and try out various things there as well. Okay, so yes, this is something that I think, yeah, this could be quite useful. This is certainly a very useful tool that you may want to take advantage of, and it has changed over time. Just be aware of that. The way that this works has uh, changed, and we'll discuss how that change has happened a little bit later on. I don't think I've got it in these particular lessons notes, but there is this tool Solana Pay, which is there for the more sort of commercial applications that you may have. So it's if you're wanting to sell something, you've got a consumer. It's a way to provide a good experience for them to that they can pay for things on Solana. And recently, it's been expanded as well to be able to be used on Shopify. So that's makes it available much more widely as well. So it's standard protocol, um, and it's going to be hosted on a server where your DApp exists, and then that is going to provide a good experience, hopefully, for the consumer. And it gives you lots, as well as just doing the normal selling. It gives you some useful tools such as working out taxations and providing receipts, um, displaying an inventory. You can integrate with point of sale hardware, and also sort of set up loyalty programs as well. So the way that it works um, is sort of shown in this diagram. Uh, Again, yes, it's all about making it uh, simple to use and safe to use for the customer. So you start off, you will scan the customer, sorry, will scan a QR code, and that can be used by their wallet to work out that this is a Solana Pay uh, code that is being used. It's a Solana Pay URL, and so the wallet can then make a request to the correct API that this QR code has specified. So it's going to the merchant's server to get details from there. So we've scanned the QR code. The wallet has interpreted that as being a request to the merchant server. So the merchant server can then respond to that with a some type of serialized transaction. Obviously, this can be quite customized depending on what you've got in the QR code. But if the QR code could be quite specific about an item, then you can send something very specific back. It also means you could respond to, if you're using loyalty programs, you can respond to that in a special way because you know it's come uh, from a certain wallet, so that you can add, extra discounts or something like that. But that will get sent back to the wallet, and the wallet will then show the details of the transaction that is going to happen. And this is important that it will be able to do that in a way that will give enough information to the customer so that they know exactly what they are going to be signing for. And yeah, it needs to reassure them, make sure that they realize it's a valid merchant that they're interacting with, it's the one they're expecting, etc. So all of this can be displayed by the wallet with the details coming from the merchant server. Hopefully, the customer is going to be happy with that, so they will approve the transaction, and the wallet can then sign the transaction that was assembled from the merchant server, send it to the network, to the cluster, and then that can uh, do transfer funds, do whatever is needed on the blockchain side. Um, there's similar details here for different types of wallets, but it follows the same process. I think this is one with the mobile wallet, um, the browser wallet, yeah, mobile apps to mobile wallets, etc. So different, slightly different processes, but the a similar overall approach. Um, there's quite a lot of support for this, as you can see. So the wallets that are interpreting these requests and talking to the merchant servers, etc. Are these? I haven't updated this lately, so there may well be more as well. But there's some of the main wallets there available. Um, yeah, maybe even more now. Also, there's an SDK that you can use to create this as well. So I got a link there to the repo and an example of that being used. The If you want to try it out, there's a tutorial. I've got details of that here. You can try it out. The If you want to do that, you need to set up two wallets. So one to act as the merchant, one to act as the buyer. In this case, we're saying the buyer is on, we're using a mobile wallet. You need to set them up to be on the correct network, of course. Make sure you've got some Sol. And then, yeah, you can try out the example. Let me just see if this is going to uh, give me something that gives you, yeah, so you'll get something like this. So this is showing you each side of the merchant side and the customer side, and you can set up the details and then set up how much you're going to pay, and it will show you, it will demonstrate that working for you. Um, yeah, so there's some details if you want to. This is what it's going to look like when you do that. This is Oh, so that's setting up the payment from the merchant. That will create a QR code. You can then intercept that with the Phantom wallet to create the transaction, and then when that's sent, you both sides should get something to say that it's worked, and you get links to the transaction, so you can check that as well. Okay, so yeah, that may be something that you would want to use in your projects. It's certainly a very useful tool and adds a lot of functionality. Yeah, it gives you a lot of functionality very simply. And also now, yeah, it's available in Shopify as well, and there's links to the documents there. So yeah, quite interesting, I think. It has actually expanded further, which we'll talk about when we talk about blinks as well. So um, yeah, I'll come back to that. Now, just to mention quickly, there's a lot in these notes. The mobile stack. So Solana released a phone with the idea being that this will be tightly integrated with Web3 technology, so that you would be able to use your phone very seamlessly with dApps and yeah, to do whatever you want there. And there is a mobile stack that you can use to create mobile applications for that based on Android. Um, there is a new phone coming out as well, and the I don't have yeah in these notes I don't have much detail, but there I think I'm allowed to say that there will be a course about the Solana mobile stack coming out fairly shortly. So if you're interested, then yeah, you can ask Encode, or keep your eye on their website, and hopefully that's going to happen fairly soon. Okay. All right. So NFTs, which is really what um, I wanted to, uh, or the main part I wanted to go. Oh, sorry. Yeah, there'll be a mobile hackathon soon as well. So um, yeah, and the new phone is out on the 4th of August, apparently, the Solana Seeker phone. So lots going on in that area. So if you're interested, if you want to write mobile apps, then yeah, yeah, uh, check what Encode is doing. I've got the hackathon, and there'll be a course as well. All right. So we've got a little bit of time, so I'll start talking about NFTs. I'm sure we won't finish this today, but we can continue tomorrow with this. So I think this is probably going to be one of the more interesting and more important areas that we're going to cover with particularly in the DeFi space. This is where people have tended to focus. We, I mean, I have tried, and I will cover other aspects of DeFi as well. So I'm certainly not saying this is everything, but for a lot of people, NFTs were very important. Their use has changed over time. Um, it's interesting that people had the concept of digitizing artworks, for ex example. Um, the and that was around for a while, that idea, but didn't become super popular until we had the sort of the explosion of DeFi, and then with that moved on to people using that to create NFTs, to sell artworks, and they were, sort of tied into the popular culture and the memes, etc. And they became very popular. So for NFTs, that became one of the major, or that's really where they started, I suppose. The major use of them was to show ownership of some digital asset. But it did change over time. I think part of that was due to market forces and the popularity of various digital assets, etc., and the need, uh, or yeah, the market for those. Uh, but NFTs can do more than that. Well, there's more use cases, and so people also then were thinking about their use in games as well, and you could use them to for items in games, so another type of tokenization. But also you could use them to show that you're allowed to do something within a game. Maybe you progress within a game, and that you'll get an NFT to show that. So their use has changed over time, but they're still very popular. And um, yeah, we're going to talk about go through a lot of detail about the tools that we can use to create them, and how to do that. Uh, we did start this, but what I said at the time was that this was very basic, and that was true because the program that was built to allow us to create tokens was, something that was built very early on. Obviously, it had to be, it was needed, uh, early on. We needed that functionality, but it meant that this came out, that program was written before we saw the full scope of how NFTs could be used, and all the use cases. So it didn't really take into account what the types of things that we needed to do with NFTs. So although we can create an NFT with the token program, and we did, and you saw how that was done, and the fact that you restricted the supply of that token to be one and prevented further minting. You obviously need much more than that if you're going to be selling digital assets and you want to set up marketplaces, you want to set up collections, all those other sort of aspects of NFTs, they weren't really catered for in that original program. So what we see is that they uh, we've had extra tools built to help us do these other aspects, this other functionality that we want our NFTs to have. Uh, the important thing to remember about NFTs is that each token is unique. It will have to have some identifier, and you can use that identifier to find the owner of that NFT. So there's a mapping there. Um, Also, the way that they are used when they're showing ownership of digital assets is that the NFT on the blockchain is showing that that NFT, that unique ID, is owned by a particular address. But within the data associated with that NFT, there will be a link to some digital asset, usually on some file storage system. And so people then sort of put that together to say, well, because that digital asset is held or details of it are held within this NFT on the blockchain, uh, then that means it's owned by the owner of this NFT. Okay. Um, it is possible to have an NFT that is owned, or there is the use case for NFTs being owned by maybe more than one person, in the sense that you may want to tokenize something and say that is owned by many people. So we have that possibility, the idea of the semi-fungible tokens, where they represent a share of some digital asset. But let's look at how it's implemented on Solana. And I've got all sorts of links there for you to look at to check the documentation. Uh, so this is the standard. We've just been looking at the idea. Sorry, this is displaying the accounts involved of how you can have a program, sorry, a token, sorry. So the token program owns the mint account and the token account. The mint account there's one of these for a token. The token account, there's one per token per holder of that token. And then the person owning those tokens, they have their wallet account. So we saw then that if you create an NFT in Solana, then we specify that the supply is one. We have zero decimals. And then we change the mint authority to stop anyone else being able to mint additional tokens. So that's the very basic way that we can set up an NFT on using the token program. And that looks like, well, no, that's what we did. But we want to do more than that. We want to be able to have other data associated with this NFT, and we want to be able to say this digital asset is associated with this NFT. Now, where this digital asset exists is something to be thought about. You could store, say, an image, if that's the digital asset, you could store that on a blockchain, but storing items on a blockchain is expensive. So an image is going to be expensive to store that on the blockchain. So the thing that people usually do is to store it on a decentralized file system, such as Arweave or IPFS, and they are designed to offer cheap storage but still be decentralized. Of course, you don't have to use a decentralized system. You could have it on a centralized system. It's up to you, but the popular choices are things like Arweave. So, assuming that is what we're going to do, we've got some image, for example, that we want to sell as part of an NFT. We've stored that on, say, Arweave. We've got an address of that there. And we need to associate that then with the NFT that is on Solana. So we need some way of linking those together. So what we can do is to create an account that holds metadata about the the NFT. Um, and this would be a PDA that we would use for this. And this would be owned by this is owned by the token metadata program. So this is in addition to the uh, the standard that we originally had. This is adding extra functionality here. So we've got an extra program, we've got an extra type of account. And this then gives us some of the functionality that we want for NFTs. And it gives us somewhere to store all the data that we would probably want to be able we probably want. Um, so we would need details such as authorities of this, who is going to be allowed to update this. I'll come back to that idea in a second. Uh, we need the mint, details of the mint, so that has to tie into the mint account. Um, then there are going to be some details about the NFT itself, such as a name and a symbol. The URI is there to provide the link to the asset that we've got. Then we've got things that are more specific about the way that we use NFTs, such as the way that they are sold, if there's going to be a fee, details about who created this, um, whether this is the primary sale. And the reason for that is that, along with the creator, is that we also sometimes want to sort or set up royalties for an NFT. So we want somebody to be able to create an NFT and sell it to someone else. But then if that person sells it on, then we expect royalties to be passed back to the creator. So that's why we need these fields. We've got a flag to say whether this is mutable, details about an addition, the token standard. I think it's just the more versioning. Collection is important because often NFTs are created as part of a collection, where perhaps you have uh, a, a number of NFTs that are very similar but have slightly different attributes, but there's a general collection of them, and people want to have one of these from the collection. Um, I'm not sure what the other things are used for exactly there, but this is the details here of uh, how you could use the URI, so that could then link to details of the actual object that you want. Now, this link uh, could refer to other things, but it may be that you would want further details of the asset within the URI that you're linking to. So there will be other metadata there. Also, things like the an animated URL. You may use this if you are supplying this for a marketplace and you want some animation involved with the actual image as well. So as well as as well as the image, we would have other pieces of metadata as well, all pointed to by the URI. Okay. Um, so there's an example here. I don't know if we probably don't have time to go through that. I may come back to this. This is an example of minting from uh, using Anchor to do that. So we've done this from the command line, but this is an example using Anchor for that. I'll perhaps come back to that later. I just wanted to quickly talk through some of the other tools that are available. So, as I said, the because the token program itself is so basic, then other projects were built to provide more functionality and really to be more customized as to the way that NFTs were actually being used. And the main one for this, certainly early on, was Metaplex, which was there to really provide all the tools you could need to create NFTs and to sell them in whatever way you want. The yeah, some of these tools have changed over time, so just be aware of that, that there are different versions and they may have changed. Um, they also set up the metadata. So they set up this standard um, for metadata for NFTs. So the standard for these fields you can see here. So this was the one of the, I guess, the primary things that was needed to use NFTs, was to get the account standardized, holding the data. Um, the way that they will store the asset is going to be off chain. We're going to look at other alternatives as well, because the things can be stored on chain, but that's something we'll look at later. Um, Different decentralized file systems are available. I think, um, yeah, we are going to talk about those in a second. So, yeah. Uh, the I've spoken about this as if we're storing digital assets. Of course, if it's digital, it could represent anything. So, yeah, it could be an image, but it could be audio or movie or whatever. So, it's designed to encompass all of those things. And then we have the idea of collections as well. If you've bought NFTs or looked at marketplaces, you'll see that they tend to be created as collections. And then an NFT will be a numbered item within a particular collection. So this was the first major project, I think, that provided the tools. So this is Metaplex. Um, the there's value. The reasons that people would use this rather than say using a different chain has been mainly due to the cost of the transactions. So I think this is why Solana has done well in attracting these types of projects. The fact that, we can have cheap transactions and very fast transactions on Solana. So this made it very attractive for people to host NFTs on Solana. Um, so yeah, I said we'd come to details about the storage. So here's some examples. They're fairly similar, I suppose, in the way that they work. Um, we have some decentralized file storage systems. So these work kind of similar to a blockchain, but they're very much about providing cheap storage. Um, they need mechanisms and incentivization to be part of the protocol, so that items stored on these systems are going to be kept around. We know that something has been stored, and we know that it's going to continue to be stored, so that if we need it, we can get it. So they have various mechanisms and incentives to ensure that. Um, the There is, yeah, various replication, and we don't really need to sort of go much about this, I don't think. The is Yeah, I've got some figures there, but yeah, it is one of the common ones, Arweave, that is used. But there's others, like say IPFS, NFT storage, Filecoin, etc. And of course, it doesn't have to be decentralized. You could put your storage on AWS, S3 or something like that, or another cloud provider. Um, it's entirely how comfortable you are with the decentralized or centralized approach. Okay. Um, okay. So getting back to Metaplex, so there are a number of uh, tools that it provided a number of programs, and they can interact via CPI. So we had practice of that. The token metadata, we've just been looking at this idea that it's adding to the basic NFT with these extra fields that are going to be available. Now, some of that is on chain and some of it is off chain. So um, the metadata account, we're going to store this on chain. So this is it's going to be useful if you're building marketplaces, etc. It's useful that you've got these fields available to any programs on chain, and that there's been consensus reached about this, so that all the useful properties we have with on-chain data. But then we have the split with the other data being off-chain. That's mainly due uh, to the cost of storing things on chain. So particularly for something like an image that's going to be rather large, then you would probably want that off chain. Okay, sorry. Um, yeah, so you've seen all details of that. Um, this is just further going into those fields a little bit more. One point I'll perhaps just finish with actually that is quite popular is this idea of attributes. So this is often used where you have a collection. So say you've created your cat NFT and you've got some nice uh, little pictures of a cat, but you want to create a collection. So you want the cats to be similar, but maybe they're going to differ in eye color or fur color or things like that. So this is where we can set up attributes. So you can set up some trait like fur color, and then set that as a different value for each one of the items within your collection. And that was done very widely. It became very popular, and the idea that things are collectible because one particular attribute is rare, and so that there's not so many with that attribute, so it's more valuable, etc. So these are all the things that you can add to the this is the off-chain data here. So you can add all of these details, um, and then when they're being displayed on a marketplace, you can uh, get these details and have that as part of the display, etc. So yeah, just an example of some of what this might look like there. This one is showing something being stored on Arweave, for example, but it's a video and some images. Yeah, so that's what it would generally look like. Okay, we can come back tomorrow and look at some of the other tools and how they are used to help us with NFTs. Okay, so thank you for your attention today. We've covered quite a bit again, but we're going to concentrate very much on NFTs today and tomorrow, and show you how you can create these, excuse me, and use those. I'll see you all tomorrow. Bye bye.